As the Hater reboot draws near, the Hater decided it's time to do something that I've seldom done. And that is actually do a review for a video game. So welcome to the first ever Hater video game review, cuckolds. This one's going to be about Pokemon ZA that's out on the Switch and Switch 2. Now, in discussing this game, which I will do with great detail, I will also be discussing the cultural elements of the video game industry, right? And more importantly, the cultural proclivities of the video game consumer, of the video game player, right? So let's get started with the game. Pokemon is a franchise that is near and dear to the hearts of many people, especially people the Haters' age, right? Because we grew up with this shit, right? Now, with that being said, I think there is a schism, there is a division amongst Pokemon fans like the Hater, who are basically grown-ass men in their 30s who like Pokemon, and younger players who don't really like Pokemon, but just like video games, right? And there is a difference here, and I think it's a difference that's worth pointing out with respect to this game. So, Pokemon historically has been known for having these engrossing and large-scale games. And this game takes place in one fucking city. It's basically one giant circle room, right? There's hallways and shit like that, but, it's a city. It could have just easily been, like, the one floor of, like, a cylindrical building, right? It's not anything special from that regards, right? Now, despite that, the game is what it purports itself to be. You run around, you catch Pokemon, which are your funny little friends, and then you battle them against each other. There is a plot that the Hater has been skipping entirely by pressing A, not because I don't like the plot, but because I don't give a shit. I play Pokemon because I enjoy the game. I don't give a flying fuck what the message of the game is. I could give a shit about that, right? Now, I know some people do, right? And some of you may be thinking, well, Hater, how can you review the game if you haven't, understood what the message is? Well, unfortunately, this game has long-ass cutscenes that you kind of are forced to sit through anyways. So, the Hater's a fast reader, so even when I try to skip it, I still get the gist of it anyways. I can't escape this shit. But I wanted to talk about the new battle system, right? This Pokemon game, unlike other Pokemon games, allows you to move your Pokemon around, kinda, right? You move the trainer around and the Pokemon follows, and then as a result, you also can dictate what moves the Pokemon does. Moves now have ranges, and the Pokemon will go and do the move, right? Pretty neat idea. In execution, I think it fails, and quite frankly, I've basically never moved my Pokemon, and I'm doing just fine. I haven't lost a battle yet, and I'm not grinding or anything, right? So I think that's good because the older fans that don't give a shit about new gameplay innovations, the people that think that Pokemon has it perfect the way they have it, those people are gonna have fun too. Now, it should be noted that this game has gotten a lot of flack, right? Even though the reviews from review magazines and publications have been pretty good, the fan reviews and quite frankly the YouTube reviews have all said effectively the same thing, that this game is not worth the money, that this game is not good enough, and my personal favorite, that we the Pokemon fans deserve better. Now, I don't have much more to say about this game because I think that everything that I just explained pretty much paints a complete picture, right? You run around, you have the ability to run around the streets, you can go to the rooftops and you catch different Pokemon, you evolve them, you get mega evolutions, and you battle your way up through a ranking system, right? It's literally the various tropes of a Pokemon game just recontextualized in a different format. That's all it is. Instead of going in a cave to find Pokemon, you go on a rooftop now. Whatever, right? It feels like there aren't that many Pokemon around, but, there's 230, 250, pretty decent numbers, There are no new Pokemon. I think this is the first, mainline / quasi mainline game to not have any new Pokemon, but you get the new, mega evolutions, they're fun to collect too, right? So with that being said, the game operates just like a normal Pokemon game beyond that. But now people are pissed off because in their perception, Game Freak and Nintendo have done the cardinal sin, they've committed the cardinal sin of not innovating enough. And quite frankly, and this is the second part of this video, because the game, I'd give it an 8 out of 10, because you have to adjust for what the game actually is. You know what I mean? Like the Hater, like I said, I'm in my 30s, motherfuckers. I know it's a children's game. So a lot of people, their criticism is, well, the plot is very childish. Yeah, the game is meant for 10-year-olds. You know what I mean? Oh, the game is too easy. It's meant for 10-year-olds, right? That's the problem. The problem is this retards who grew up playing Pokemon, fucking X, who are like 18 now, right? These young guys, they're like, the game should grow up with me. It should have the same things as me. As a matter of fact, I demand that the main character be an overweight guy who lives in a basement. Like, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear this shit anymore, you know? And I think this is part of the greater culture around video games. Personally, the hater believes that if a game is decently good enough, it gets an 8 out of 10 in my book, right? That's the way I see it. You know, there's games that don't get an 8, but a lot of games get an 8, some get a 9, and very few get a 10. But nowadays, the Neckbeard demographic, the Neckbeard audience, has permeated the video game community fully, right? Historically, like I've said many times in the past, the video game player was stereotyped as being a nerd, as being a neckbeard. But this was just a stereotype. The reality is, a lot of people back in the day would play video games and they would pretend they didn't, right? They would pretend they didn't because it wasn't the cool thing to do, right? That's just how it was. It's the same thing with wrestling, right? Like there's these two guys from the haters' high school. These guys would like talk so much shit about wrestling, right? Me and them would go back and forth about why I thought wrestling was cool and they didn't, right? And I go to Monday Night Raw in like a city near us, and I see these two cocksuckers. Oh, look at that. They pretended they didn't like it, but yet there they were, right? Video games were very similar to that too, right? Most people just played them and didn't talk about them. And of course, obviously, there were a lot of nerds and geeks that played video games. That's always been the case, right? Of course. And, you know, quite frankly, those people were always open about it. Now, it's like almost everyone that plays video games, there are a few exceptions, like the hater, like some of you, but almost everyone that plays video games, it feels like they're just a fucking nerd, a guy that never, like, had any success socially with women or with friends or anything. And these people are now dictating to us what games should be like. You know, there was that Gamergate thing where a bunch of women or something were telling men how games should be like. And it's like a lot of men were like, I can't believe these broads are telling us what to do. Which personally, I understand the sentiment. But hold on a second, fucker. You know, you're not the guy that speaks for all gamers either. Because I stand on a different level. I stand on a different category of gamer, right? Where I look at you and I'm as embarrassed by you as I am by the women that are trying to like sterilize the games, right? I also like video games. And when I see something like Stellar Blade, which was a mid-game, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 as well, right? Like, this game was okay, and a lot of people were like, wow, the girl's so hot. I start playing the game, they're like, you can change your costume. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know, I'm not here to like look at like the ass of an android on my TV screen. Are you fucking retarded? That's the problem. A lot of gamers are retarded. So it's like, you have them who are retarded, and these women who are also kind of retarded, who are like, on one side, the women are like, don't do this. And the men are like, we want this. Male gamers want hot babes. I don't give a fuck if the main character is hot or not. I don't give a fuck if the main character is a white guy or a gay guy or a lesbian or whatever, right? I could give a shit. I'm here to play the fucking game, man. And I personally believe that the vast majority of gamers fall in my category. We're not the neckbeards, right? The overrepresented neckbeards who are like, I want my game to have hot babes and fan service, and I don't want my waifu to be like too tsundere, right? And then any of the girls who are like, I want my female characters to be just as tough as the men. Most of us don't give a fuck, motherfucks. Like there's that new game coming out by like Naughty Dog where the main character is like this Asian girl who's like shaved her head. And you have all these people branching off into factions talking about like, oh, this is unacceptable on either side of the aisle. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Is the game good? I could give a shit if she's an Asian lesbian or a gay Indian. I don't care at all. I could give a fuck. Most of us are here to just enjoy the games. It ain't that fucking deep, motherfuckers. So that's why, for example, games like Elden Ring, who in my opinion, which in my opinion, are somewhat boring and, again, in my opinion, massively overrated. You know, I give that game like, honestly, an 8 as well. You know, I understand what it's going for. It has decent gameplay. I beat it, so that means it must have been okay, right? But let's not get it twisted. You know, the only difference between that game and Pokemon, right? The only reason people hate Pokemon and like Elden Ring is because Elden Ring really appeals to the neckbeard demographic. Like some people see a fucking turtle with a bell on it, and they're like, oh, this is a harkening back to like George R. Martin's like discussion of the tortoise and the bell. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. I see the turtle and I'm like, can I kill it? No. Can I mount it? No. Can I go inside it and do something? Sure. And I go do that, and then I move on with my life. You know what I mean? Most people don't give a fuck. We're not impressed that you sit in a fire and some witch character comes up and she's like, you are maidenless, sir. And then everyone's like, oh, they really get us. I'm like, how the fuck do I skip this dialogue? I don't want to hear about this boring ass world. Oh, the Elden Ring, Radagon. Like, I don't give a fuck, man. Most of us don't give a shit about any of this. You know what I mean? Like, that's why, in my opinion, games like Hollow Knight are so successful. Because you just play the game, you start the game, in 5 minutes, right? You're in the game. Then you might talk to a bug and he's like, the Citadel. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about the Citadel. I don't give a fuck what the problem of these bugs is. I don't give a shit. Am I a bug, motherfuckers? No, I'm not. So, insofar as Pokemon goes, boomeranging back to that motherfucker, a lot of people are shitting on it with this mentality of we deserve better. And their argument is, well, look at other games like Hollow Knight and Elden Ring. They have far lower budgets because Pokemon is the highest grossing franchise in the history of franchising, right? The most valuable license literally of all time. And they're like, they have all this money. Why don't they make a better game? Gee, let me tell you why. Because some of us motherfucks played Pokemon in like 1997 or 1998. You know how we did that shit? I had a Game Boy Color up in this bitch, which, by the way, told you this lie that it can take Game Boy games and make them in color. That doesn't do that shit at all. It adds like this bluish hue, and that's it, right? So I put this motherfucker, it's a Game Boy game, I put it in my Game Boy Color, I put in 4 batteries in this some bitch, and I'm out there playing by a fucking lamp, all right? Because you can't see the fucking screen, because we didn't have backlit screens back then. You play near a fucking lamp like an asshole. Or, if you want to be really cool, right? If you want to be really a nerd, you buy the Game Boy Light attachment, and you attach that some bitch onto your Game Boy, and it provides like a little nightlight for you. It doesn't even work that well, right? That's how we played this shit. Now, I'm not saying that the hater is better than you for playing it this way, but I'm saying that the history of Pokemon started out with a fucking 8-byte game, right? It's like 3 pixels. You're out there, I'm like, go Victory Bell, and Victory Bell looks like a fucking asshole, you know? That's what we came with. So the reason I bring this up is because Pokemon has never been about the graphics. I'm not using this as an excuse, but I understand. You have to animate like 230 motherfucks, 230 monsters, you know? You gotta do all this shit to keep the game engaged. And people are like, I don't like the way the mountain looked. Go fuck yourself. This Neckbeard gatekeeper nonsense has gone too far, you know? And it is selectively used. I played Silent Hill, right? People are like, the environment is great. I thought it looked like shit. I thought it's comparable to the environment of the Pokemon game, right? I played Elden Ring. I thought the game was, like, I thought it was lame. All the characters look the same. They all have goofy ass names, right? Like, the walls are all gray. Like, everything looks like shit. It's janky, you know? But people are like, oh, this game's perfect. Is it? That's the problem that I have. The problem that I have is that a lot of people have this entitlement. And what the hell happened to the logic, the permeating logic, the universal logic of, if you don't like it, don't fucking buy it, motherfuckers. I'm sick of this shit. I understand times are hard. I get it. But there's all these people who are like, $70 for a game? Don't buy it, cocksucker. I don't give a shit. I'm supposed to feel bad about you because you don't want to pay the money for a game? I don't feel bad about you if you don't want to pay the money to go see a movie. Why do I give a fuck about this? There's this entitlement in the Neckbeard community. This is not the video gamer community. This is the Neckbeard community. You see this across, like, you know, fucking wrestling, anime, I'm sure. I don't watch anime, but fucking video games for sure. This entitlement. We didn't get what we wanted. Who the fuck cares? I don't give a fuck if you got what you wanted. You go to those like PlayStation like Directs, you know, where they like they reveal PlayStation games. There's always assholes being like, what about Bloodborne 2? Nobody give a fuck about Bloodborne. This Pokemon game is gonna outsell Bloodborne. What do you think of them apples? It's you and 5 other nerds who are like, oh, the blood runs deep in the werewolf's ass. Like, shut the fuck up. Nobody cared about that shit. Everyone who's like a regular person played that game and was like, oh, it's a game. It's a 2-button game. You just roll behind everything and then you kill it with R1. Just like Elden Ring. You just roll around, you roll behind, you kill it. Oh, what about the buffs? I never used that shit. That's for nerds. Oh, I'm gonna go use the flask of mimicry. I don't give a fuck, man. I got, like, in Elden Ring, I got the first sword I could find, and I just steamed through my way through the entire game, using that longsword. I upgraded, of course. I leveled up, of course. But I didn't have time to learn a new weapon. They're like, oh, you found the sword of the swallow's tail. And it's like, oh, great. That shit's going in my inventory. And I'm selling it so I can upgrade the current sword that I have. Cucks. I don't have time for this shit. Most people want to just get out there and play a game that they enjoy. Pokemon serves that purpose. And people, there's this like counter idea. They're like, well, what about Pal World? What about it? It's like fucking Pikachu holding a gun, you know? To a lot of people, they're like, wow, this is the mature version of Pokemon we always wanted. Some of us don't want the mature version. And you gotta learn that shit. You gotta realize that not everyone is like you. And the reason why you don't realize this is because you've convinced yourself, Neckbeards, that you are the smartest people in the room. That your opinions are superior to that of other people. Right? And primarily it's because most people don't care enough to correct you, and a lot of people are intimidated by the intimidation factor and the tactics of intimidation used by the gatekeeping fans of everything, right? Well, the hater isn't, right? I don't give a fuck. I look at you and I think to myself, I don't give a shit that you want a darker storyline. Fuck you. Go read a book, you fucking bitch. You know, like Final Fantasy, same thing. It's supposed to be a fantasy game, right? Final Fantasy 16 comes out, or whatever the fuck it was. They're like, it has a much darker and more mature storyline. No, it doesn't. It's just a bunch of depressed assholes that say fuck once in a while. That's all it is. It's a bunch of losers. Have you played the recent Final Fantasy games? Like Final Fantasy 16, they're like, it's a darker, more mature storyline. It's a bunch of fucking cocksuckers out there complaining about their lives. Oh, I don't want the duty that has been bestowed upon me. And it's all this Game of Thrones shit. It's like fucking nerd shit. Dark and mature just means nerdy and fucking like, you know, hobbits and shit. That's what dark and mature means. Nobody gives a shit about any of this. I don't want to see that. I want lighthearted and fun. You know? The real world is dark enough, motherfuckers. Not for any of us, thank God. We have good lives. But a lot of people have shit lives. People are like, oh, this one irrelevant side character in this game said fuck. Wow, it's a really dark and edgy game. No, it isn't. You just don't know what dark and edgy is. You think the epitome of edginess is when like Light Yagami from fucking Death Note like flips his hair and has an internal thought. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I'd beat Light Yagami's ass. What do you think of them apples? You know what I'm saying? I'd grab L by the fucking shoulder, I'd spin him around and hit him with an RKO up in this bitch. That's what I'd do. So what I'm getting at here is this, motherfuckers. A lot of people are talking shit about this game and how the video game culture has pretty much gone off the rails, right? People have this mentality and this expectation that things should grow up with them and that everything needs to have the same tone. And then when that thing has the same tone, nobody gives a fuck, it underperforms, and everyone's like, wow, how come Final Fantasy 16 underperformed? I could have told you it would underperform off the bat. The main character is a fucking asshole. He's one of these brooding motherfucks that never smiles. Why the fuck do I want to play as that guy? I want to play as a badass. I want to play as someone that's cool and more importantly confident. I'm sick of these anime heroes being thrown into wrestling and video games. Oh, the insecure hero. Fuck the insecure hero. Not all of us are insecure, motherfucks. A lot of people in the real world are insecure, so they resonate with the insecure Yugi. Oh, I'm just like Yugi. Maybe Taya will like me one day. Guess what, motherfucks? Taya is out there blowing Joey in the real world. She's not hanging out with Yugi, that little cuck. You see what I'm saying? And even in the show, they present this. She doesn't give a fuck about Yugi. She likes like the spirit of the Pharaoh. That's why she gets on board with Yugi. Because the spirit of the Pharaoh is like not a bitch. Compared to Yugi at least, right? He's kind of a pussy too later on, but you understand what I'm getting at. The point is, cucks, I'm sick of all the things that I like. Luckily, they're not being ruined because the creators understand how it works. But all these people who are like, I would have done it this way. Why don't you have FromSoft make Pokemon? Gee, because maybe the audience of FromSoft is 5 fat-ass neckbeards and the audience for Pokemon is literally the whole world. Do you think that if you go to like Bulgaria or something, or Serbia, or Albania, I'm just listing Balkan countries at this point, Croatia, Montenegro, you think you go to Afghanistan, you think if you go to like fucking, I don't know, well Korea and those places are different, but you think if you go to like Indonesia, people are gonna like resonate with, oh, the sword of the 12 elves. No, they're all gonna look at you and think you're a fucking nerd. Even in Japan. I've been in Japan, and I was surprised at how many people hated anime. Right? I met some people that were like, yeah, we don't like that this is exported out of our country and people think all of us are neckbeards, right? Some of them are like, I met some Japanese people, they're like, I like watching baseball, right? I don't want to watch like Hitsume Girl number 19, like some fucking pornographic pedophilic shit. They're like, they think it's weird, that's just like we do here, right? Motherfucks, you should have seen all the fat ass Americans and fat ass Canadians that I met in Japan, and fat ass Europeans too, I'll be honest. You should see the people that I met. They thought they were gonna be there and become the anime protagonist. Then they found out that just like back home, they're the fat ass loser in Japan too, right? That's why those people in Japan shut themselves in, because society is like, the fuck's wrong with you? Stop being weird. We don't like that shit, right? And that's fine, man. The hater loves it. The hater loves people being weird. But don't make my shit weird. Don't tell me that Pokemon ain't shit because, oh, there's not enough variety in the lore. Oh, you can't equip a helmet? What kind of a game is this? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, man. The nerds have ruined everything. There was a time when the nerds would ruin only their own thing, right? They would ruin their own shit. Like Star Wars, as I understand, I never watched Star Wars, was like a thing that normal people liked it, right? That people liked. But we had scenarios where people, all of a sudden, up in this mug, you know what I mean? A lot of these fucks started ruining it, making it all nerdy, you know? They started like talking like Yoda and shit. And then this took away the mainstream audience. And then people were like, oh, I wonder why the last 3 Star Wars movies sucked. Gee, because people lost interest because they don't want to be associated with some fat bald guy who talks like Yoda. You understand me, cucks? Same thing. Pokemon's different because it's for children. I have no shame that I like Pokemon. You know what I mean? No shame at all. I used to when I was like in my 20s. I'd like get my mom to like go buy me a game. I'd be like, Mom, can you just go inside the store and just get this for me, please? Because I was so ashamed that I liked Pokemon in my 20s. But now I grew up and I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't, even the Pokemon fans, they don't want to be associated with these nerds. The people that started playing like Generation 6 and they already have opinions on the direction of how Pokemon should be. You don't even know what you're talking about, motherfucks. When you played by a fucking candle, right, to see 8 pixels, then you tell me that the graphics ain't shit. You know what I mean? The graphics are perfectly fine in Legend ZA. Perfectly fine. They are perfectly serviceable graphics. What the fuck do you think? They're like, oh, look at this N64 game, it had better graphics. So what? First of all, no, it didn't. But so what? So what? Pokemon's never been about the graphics. Back in Pokemon Blue, when you open up your list of Pokemon, they all have like the same, there's like 2 sprites. There's like generic monster sprite. There's like generic plant sprite to denote like plant Pokemon, grass Pokemon. And then there's bird. That's it. There's also like fucking Clefairy sprite, which is like all the Clefairy looking some bitches. Like the Pikachus, the Clefairies, the Jigglypuffs, right? There's like 5 sprites, you know? And people like, nobody complained. Because we understood what the fuck it was. We're like, this is still fucking awesome. Nowadays, they're like, I don't like the way the character's hair moves in the wind. Great! You're in the minority of fucking nerds. Most of us don't give a flying rat's ass, cucks. So with that being said, I think this rant has gone on far too long. This is barely a Pokemon Legends review. This is more of a critique of video gaming and honestly, it's more of a critique of neckbeard culture. So with that being said, there you have it. Cucks, buy the game if you have Switch 2, and I don't fucking want to hear it. It's $70, it should be 40. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You have indie games that are like 2 hours long. People are like, this is amazing. It's like $20. This is like if you play this game to its completion, it'll take you like dozens of hours to catch everything and do everything, I would imagine, right? And people are like, oh, it's not worth it. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, honestly. And with that being said, go fuck yourselves while you're at it too, cuckstis.